If I had to describe the story of Kimura in one word, it'd be perseverance. Now immediately you might say, there are way more persistent characters in Hajime no Ippo. Ippo never quits and Takamura refuses to lose. They're monsters of discipline and willpower. But here's the difference, they actually win. They work hard, yes, but their effort is rewarded. Their pain has a payoff. Perseverance isn't about success, it's about continuing despite the lack of it, and that's where Kimura stands alone. Kimura is the embodiment of a fighter who gave everything, trained every day, and still never reached the top. He's what most of us really are, someone who works hard, dreams big, and watches those dreams slip through his fingers. In this video, I'm going to break down why Kimura is one of the most painfully realistic and best written characters in Hajime no Ippo. Don't worry, I won't be spoiling the manga at all in this video, I'm just using it instead of the anime for better visuals. When Ippo asked Kimura and Aoki why they started boxing in chapter 215, we finally got some information about Kimura's backstory. He started off as a delinquent who was very disrespectful to his parents and everyone else around him. He devoted his life to fighting others. But while we see Aoki show no remorse or sign of changing, even going as far as to say if they get expelled it would be better for them as they could focus all of their energy into forming a gang, we see Kimura's inner conflict. He's convicting himself. He knows that winning fights against other delinquents isn't a career, nor is it what he dreams of. He wants to do something truly great, something that will get him recognized by everyone. He doesn't want to live this life, but he doesn't know what it is he's looking for instead. He then runs into an old friend who says that he's been studying karate and may even be capable of beating Kimura. We get this glare from Kimura, and to me, this one panel speaks volumes. Someone who's dedicated his life to fighting and being strong was just told he'd be defeated, and although it wasn't in a malicious way, you'd expect someone living this life would get prideful and defensive. But I believe Kimura doesn't react here because he realizes that fighting isn't everything. As his friend is telling him farewell, he says, "Seems like you two still enjoy yourself," referring to Kimura and Aoki, to which Kimura just reflects on, knowing that despite his loyalty to Aoki, he's not happy living this life of meaningless violence. Kimura then goes home to his parents' flower shop where a bunch of students from a rival school came seeking revenge on Kimura. Kimura wanted to change the location, but they didn't listen and destroyed his parents' flower shop. Despite Kimura's blatant disrespect to his parents, it's clear that he did not like this, and he did not want them to get caught in the crossfire of his misdeeds. Aoki and Kimura are then talking about their plans for the future, and they both agree they have some business to handle before they can move on. Aoki and Kimura then challenge the people who trashed Kimura's parents' flower shop, and it doesn't end well until Takamura intervenes and saves them both, despite not being well acquainted at this point. Despite this kind gesture, Kimura and Aoki still want to fight Takamura, and Takamura decides to do it with the intention of, quote, pounding a goal into them. Kimura almost catches Takamura off guard with a leg sweep, but ends up losing. This leads to Kimura and Aoki setting a goal of punching Takamura in the face once, no matter how many tries it takes. Kimura and Aoki then join the Kamigawa boxing gym, but coach is not accepting the delinquent manners and appearance they have. He tells them go get a haircut and come back. There's a 3-month time skip, and we see Kimura clearly happy that Shinoda told him he's gotten used to bandaging, and immediately after he's very adamant about learning a straight, which shows how much he's committed himself and how passionate he is about boxing only 3 months in. Kimura wants to fix his flaws. All he wants to do at this point is become a better boxer. He claims this is to get revenge on Takamura, but we see this isn't the truth, because as they made Takamura work harder and harder in order to win sparring matches against them, and after they ultimately achieved him and Aoki's goal of landing a blow on Takamura, although it was a graze, they kept boxing until they fought their first match. This is where Kimura found out why he wanted to keep boxing. After Aoki and Kimura are given the opportunity to be in their first match, Aoki says he just wants to beat Takamura. He doesn't care about fighting in a match or being a pro boxer, and to this, Kimura has this dejected expression. He realizes the decision he has to make, what he's searching for, something that truly matters, something he can be remembered for. The search never ended. I believe this is where he realizes that it was never about punching Takamura. He just wanted to push himself to see if he could achieve something, and now that he's seen meaningful progress, he wants to see if he found what he was looking for. Kimura wins his fight, and then he hears the crowd cheer, and it's clear to him at that moment that boxing is is what he was looking for. Something truly great that will get him recognized by everyone. Hold on. Are you subscribed yet? We're 400 subscribers away from 10K, so make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this on your page. Kimura thinks to himself during Aoki's fight, I wonder when it was that I last looked at people with appreciation. Both of us have always despised the world. I thought that it was for the best. Honestly, I never thought we'd manage to graduate, but when I grew up, I wanted to meet with all my old friends and tell them, yeah, I've calmed down, and that life probably would have been pretty boring, and at that rate, I'm sure that's what would have happened. In the end, we'll just end up getting boring jobs and giving up. Everything will suck. But then when Aoki wins his fight, it finally becomes clear to Kimura as he says neither of us can ever stop. We've been pulled in by something troublesome. We can never stop boxing. This is where Kimura really starts to come through as a beautifully written character. Despite his passion for boxing and his hard work, he falls short in a lot of his bouts. This is often disregarded and treated as a joke until the Kimura vs Mashiba arc, where we really get a deep dive into his character. Kimura gets his shot at the belt in a fight against Mashiba. The pressure is serious because this is Kimura's first title shot in 5 years, and he may never get another chance if he loses this fight. On top of this, Ippo just became champion. Kimura had to watch Ippo surpass him as a fighter despite having half the time dedicated to boxing that he does. Also consider that Mashiba is someone Ippo has already defeated, so if he loses this fight, there's no doubt that he watched someone overtake him every step of the way despite his passion for boxing. Kimura observes delinquents and recalls that he would act just like them before he started boxing. He says, my record's not that great, but I always do my best. I've never had anything like this before, referring to boxing. Finally, I had something to be proud of. Kimura says he loves boxing and he wants the confidence that he'll never lose to anyone because he wants to be the best at what he loves to do. But despite loving boxing, Ippo becoming champion forced him to realize that despite all of his effort to be the best, he had achieved nothing in his career, in his perspective. However, obviously this isn't true, because before he goes to fight Mashiba, we see that he is showing respect to his parents, a large contrast from earlier when he would disrespect his mom. His character has obviously improved, but before he takes off for the fight, he makes a comment about how he should begin to learn more about the flowers his parents sell. This is a nudge to the information we will learn after Kimura says that he has surpassed his limits coming into this fight, and no matter what, he won't regret anything because of that. He then informs the other members of the gym that he'll retire if he loses this fight. Kimura, unfortunately, as we know, loses the fight against Mashiba by only a few centimeters. Even Mashiba acknowledges that this fight could have went either way. Despite Kimura losing, he tells coach to let the interviewers bombard him because although he had lost the most important fight of his life, he had never had that many people trying to interview him. He then proclaims to the interviewers that despite it being a close fight, he is retired. Then he looks at Korakuen Hall one last time and says, I have no regrets. Kimura says retiring is his justice, his payback to all the people that helped him because he disappointed them. Kimura then reflects on his decision as becoming retired finally becomes real to him. He can do all of the things he wanted to do before, but there's nothing he wants to do. Proof that he dedicated himself to boxing fully. When he thinks of fun, he just thinks of boxing because as he said, because I put everything into it, because I got so far, just a little more. If this hand had made it a little further, like this, maybe 3 centimeters, just this far, I couldn't reach this far. It was just 3 centimeters, but I couldn't reach it. I'll regret it from now on. Always. Despite Kimura giving his everything, with such a short distance standing between him and the title, he can't help but wonder what would have happened if he had just tried a little harder. But Kimura decided he couldn't retire, not after getting so close to the title. If he gave everything and still regretted losing, there was only one thing he could do, and that is win next time. He has to keep going for the title, or else he'll have regrets. What we learn from Kimura's character is if you find something that you can be passionate about, you not only have to give it your all, but you have to see it through to the end. If you give your all but give up when it's not enough, then you didn't actually give it your all. So why put all of your effort into reaching something, trying your best to grab it, only to give up when you're 3 centimeters from the end? It's only 3 centimeters.